Every year you plant something beautiful. You do the research. You prepare the bed. You water carefully. And 6 months later, you are staring at bare patches where a lush ground cover was supposed to be. Most people blame the plant. They buy a different variety. They try a different location. They blame the soil, the rain, the season. But the plant was not the problem. Something already living in that soil was. Because some weeds do not simply compete with ground covers. They destroy them. And the most frustrating part? Many of these weeds look completely ordinary. Some homeowners assume they are harmless. A few actively protect them. Today, we are looking at 5 weeds that quietly, efficiently, and thoroughly kill ground covers. Number 3 leaves toxins in the soil that keep working long after the weed itself is gone. And number 1, most people willingly grow it. Let's get into it. Number 5. Yellow nutsedge. Many people spend years treating this as grass. It is not. And treating it with products designed for grass usually accomplishes nothing except frustration. Yellow nutsedge spreads through underground tubers. Small, nut-like structures connected by a network of roots and rhizomes beneath the surface. Those tubers generate new plants continuously. Remove the visible plant. The tubers remain. Return in 2 weeks to find multiple new shoots from the same location. Ancient Egyptian agricultural records suggest sedge species were causing problems in cultivated land thousands of years ago. Some competitors do not change because they have never needed to. The strategy that worked in ancient fields works equally well in modern garden beds. Ground covers attempting to establish in nutsedge territory face competition simultaneously above and below ground. Above the surface, nutsedge crowds light access. Below, the tuber network disrupts root development and competes aggressively for moisture. Fighting on 2 fronts, in unfavorable conditions, during the most vulnerable phase of establishment. Most ground covers cannot survive that consistently. Number 4. Johnson grass. This is a plant that made farmers pay serious attention to the concept of invasive species. Johnson grass grows tall. Aggressively tall. Well above anything a ground cover planting can produce. Its roots spread laterally with remarkable energy. Its growth rate in favorable conditions is extraordinary. Fields abandoned for a single growing season can be dominated by Johnson grass before the next season begins. Ground covers planted in proximity to established Johnson grass exist beneath a self-generated canopy of deep shade. The light never reaches them. The root competition from below is relentless. The weed generates its own ecosystem at its preferred height and resource level. Ground covers, clocking in at 2 to 10 centimeters tall, are not part of that ecosystem. They occupy a space that Johnson grass simply overwrites. Number 3. Black walnut seedlings. This one surprises people, because the visible seedling is rarely the issue. A young black walnut seedling looks like dozens of other tree seedlings. Pull it. Problem solved. Except the problem is not the seedling. The problem is what the walnut family produces biochemically. Black walnut trees and their seedlings generate a compound called juglone. That compound suppresses the growth of many neighboring plant species. Scientists call the process allelopathy, the deliberate chemical suppression of competing vegetation through root exudates and decomposing organic matter. Gardeners usually call it something less technical and considerably more frustrated. Ground covers planted in soil where black walnut roots are present, or where walnut leaves and debris have decomposed for years, often decline despite receiving perfectly adequate water and light. The problem is invisible. No visible pest. No obvious disease. No environmental stress. Just a chemical signal in the soil telling surrounding plants to stop growing. And here is what makes this entry different from everything else on this list. Remove the weed. The juglone remains in the soil. The suppression continues. A hidden threat that outlasts the plant that created it. Number 2. Japanese knotweed. There are weeds. There are invasive weeds. And then there is Japanese knotweed, which exists in a category that causes legislative responses. Entire government agencies across the United Kingdom, United States, and Europe have created management programs specifically around this plant. That context is important. Japanese knotweed can grow through pavement, through retaining walls, through the foundations of neglected structures. Its root system extends several meters in every direction and can penetrate almost any barrier not specifically engineered to stop it. The dense bamboo-like canopy it creates above ground blocks sunlight completely from every plant below. The underground network monopolizes soil moisture and nutrients across a wide radius. Ground covers do not compete with Japanese knotweed. They do not survive in the same space. They simply disappear. One of the most aggressive plants ever introduced into the ornamental landscape trade, brought from Japan in the 19th century as an attractive garden novelty. The consequences of that decision are still being managed today. And somehow, despite everything known about it, it continues to spread into new landscapes. Number 1. Bermuda grass. The most destructive weed on this list is not a broadleaf plant. It is not a thistle or a vine or a chemical-producing tree relative. It is a grass. And millions of people plant it in their yards on purpose. Bermuda grass spreads through above-ground runners, through underground rhizomes, through seed, through fragments carried on equipment, shoes, and garden tools, through virtually every dispersal method available to a plant. It survives drought, extended heat, heavy foot traffic, hard mowing, periods of complete neglect. Research consistently demonstrates Bermuda grass outcompeting many ornamental ground cover species through sheer persistence and vegetative energy. Its runners push into neighboring plants from above. Its rhizomes enter root zones from below. Its timing is relentless. A creeping thyme bed with Bermuda grass nearby will eventually have Bermuda grass inside it. A creeping thyme bed with Bermuda grass nearby will eventually have Bermuda grass inside it. A phlox border along a Bermuda grass lawn will gradually become a Bermuda grass border with surviving phlox fragments. An ajaga planting adjacent to Bermuda grass will fight a slow retreat. It does not arrive dramatically. It does not collapse a ground cover overnight. It finds one gap, then another, then another. And once Bermuda grass establishes itself inside a ground cover planting, removal becomes extraordinarily difficult without also damaging the plants you were trying to protect. Its roots and the ground cover's roots become entangled. Separation is nearly impossible. This is not a weed that grows beside your ground cover and competes. This is a weed that grows through it, around it, and underneath it until the ground cover no longer exists. Not because Bermuda grass is the largest weed on this list. Not because it is the tallest. Not because it carries toxins or spreads underground for multiple meters before emerging. Because it never stops expanding. Every day, every season, every year. It never stops. 20 weeds. 20 separate mechanisms for destroying something you built carefully and planted with intention. Some steal the water before your roots can absorb it. Some block the light before your leaves can use it. Some release compounds into the soil that work against your plants long after the weed itself is gone. Some spread underground so aggressively that the damage is complete before you see a single symptom above the surface. And some simply never stop competing, never stop pushing, never stop finding the next gap. The ground cover is not the problem. The ground cover never was. The problem is the competition already living in that soil before your plants arrived. Because here is what successful ground cover gardeners understand that most people learn too late. A healthy, established ground cover is one of the most effective weed suppressors in any garden. Creeping thyme that fills a bed completely leaves nothing for chickweed to colonize. Ajaga forming a tight, dense carpet shades the soil surface so thoroughly that most annual weeds cannot germinate. Clover and wood sorrel working together suppress weed emergence by rates that chemical herbicide applications struggle to match. But none of that protection exists in the first season. The first season is when everything on this list has every advantage. The ground cover is small. The soil is disturbed. The canopy is incomplete. The gaps are everywhere. And every weed in this countdown knows exactly what to do with a gap. Which is why identification matters. Which is why the season before you plant matters as much as the planting itself. The weeds growing in your yard today are not waiting for you to be ready. They are competing right now in the exact space you are planning to use, building the root systems and seed banks that will challenge whatever you put there next spring. The sooner you identify what you are dealing with, the better the odds that the ground cover you plant this time is the one that finally takes over and stays. Because the right plant, in prepared ground, without these competitors waiting underneath it,